nice panorama! How nice! This is so great! Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. And tonight I'm gonna do a video, not really a tutorial. If I get it right, it's a tutorial. If not, it's an adventure, okay? A subscriber of mine asked me if it's possible to photograph the Milky Way in a panorama with a smartphone. And I went like, dude, that's a really good idea. So what I'm gonna do is try to photograph the Milky Way in a panorama and edit everything on the smartphone with free software. So this night vision thing, it's very cool, but I'm gonna film this setup, everything that I'm gonna do during the day so you guys can see what I am doing, okay? And after we're gonna get back here and I explain how I'm gonna shoot this, okay? Let's do this. So it's way better now that you actually can see stuff, okay? Instead of the proximity sensor on a smartphone going wild. I don't really do a lot of panoramas of the Milky Way because I use a lot of wide angles, so it kinda is a panorama, but when I do, I really like to take my time and do overcomplicated panorama. So one of the landscape, one of the sky, but there you go. If you want to do something like that as well, go for it, but I'm gonna try to do this as easier as possible, okay? So the best moment to photograph a panorama of the Milky Way is in the beginning of the season, where the Milky Way is light down. A cool app to check that is Stellarium for your smartphone. The free version, it's good enough. And see if the Milky Way it's laid down, because if the Milky Way is standing up, actually, yes, you could also do a panorama of the Milky Way like so. Let me just explain the setup here. You don't need an overkill tripod like this one, but you need to have a tripod for this, okay? I have a hot shoe adapted with a smartphone holder. The cool thing is that this tripod has the angles here. This will be very, very handy to work with. So it's very important to try to level the tripod head and level the smartphone, because it will be easier to the stitching software to stitch. Talking about that, make sure that the images overlap a little bit. If you can do 30% or 50% of the image overlapping each other, we will get way easier to the stitching software to stitch, okay? If your smartphone has a wide angle camera, check it out if it doesn't cut much light. So you have to look for the f-stop number of your camera lens, okay? If you're gonna use a wide angle lens, use a high quality one, because the small ones won't be any better. If you do this at night, as I did, and I was shooting a time lapse, I couldn't turn on a lot of lights because it would ruin my time lapse of the Milky Way. So attaching this in the dark is a pain in the ass. So we're gonna use this bad boy without the lens, connect it like so to in the middle here. And now I'm gonna screw this bad boy in. The settings to photograph is the same settings to photograph the Milky Way with a smartphone that I already made a bunch of videos about it. I don't advise to make stacking during the panorama because you need to move fast. You also could use, because I used the shutter delay, you could use some Bluetooth headsets and use the volume to take the picture. Way easier than pressing the screen. Now then, if you already know how to do a single exposure photo with a smartphone, this is basically it. The main difference is that I am photographing vertically with a high quality lens on the front, okay? Let's go to Pro mode. That gives me all the automatic features, okay? And now I'm gonna use the ISO 3200 and the shutter speed of 30 seconds. Now, shutter speed will vary, as I did explain, and the focus will be in infinity. Again, everything is set and ready. Now, I'm having a lens flare from the camera, so I'm gonna ask the cameraman to move here and shut down the light. Also, I'm gonna add a shutter delay of 3 seconds each time, so to avoid any vibrations. Let's do this. 3, 2, 1. First shot. 20 seconds. Okay, let me just check out the photo. It's blurred. For some reason, it's very blurred. So I imagine that the humidity is affecting my lens, so I have to clean the lens. Quick tip, hot tip, align the lens perfectly first, okay, to then screw in the lens. Yeah, it's pretty damn well focused. And let's try this again. Now the camera is not leveled. I have to level the camera as well. It's not that important, but it is important. Much better. That's much better. Okay, now I only have to move a little bit the tripod head, just a touch, and let's take another picture. And there we go. So we had some photos that didn't want to be. It was something was happening. So the start was a dash. I imagine that is the image stabilization of the lens that feels the movement when I am rotating, and it's trying to balance during the exposure, even though I am giving 3 seconds of shutter delay. So yeah, that is something to keep in mind. Take the picture, check the picture, and then move to the next one. And now what we have to do is edit. So we're gonna edit this during the day, and wish me luck. I'm gonna use a mouse so you guys can see where I am clicking, and I will use the Lightroom free app. Now I have the 20 days trial of the subscription, but all the tools that I'm gonna use is the free ones without any subscription, okay? So let's import the photos. As you can see, I am only looking at the RAWs. If you want to know how to do that, you just press in here and just select the RAWs, okay? So let's select the first one and select all of these ones. This is the first one that it was out of focus. And let's add the photos. And let's wait to finish the import. Now, if you are curious, this image here without any noise and without any light pollution is another tutorial how to photograph the Milky Way 2.0. There we go, the 9 photos imported. So let's check them out. Let me just take a look at them. I'm gonna delete the ones that has the dash on it. So hopefully we have enough images to overlap. This one is good, this one is good, this one is poop. Now let's delete them. There we go. Now I'm gonna select this image and I'm gonna edit, okay? So let's go to edit. Of course, all these settings will be adapted to your own image and to your own taste, okay? Let's start with the light. So I'm gonna try to recover as much light as possible, all the way to 1 stop, okay? The contrast, I'm gonna remove it, okay? Quite a lot. I'm gonna add the contrast in another way. I'm gonna leave everything as is. So let's add the contrast via the curve. There we go. So selecting the whites, let's push the dark areas down. As you can see, everything is a little bit darker in the whites. Let's push it a little bit up. Be very careful to not overexpose. So if it touches the right, it is overexposed. Okay, if you don't have the histogram, just press it here and show histogram, okay? Now, I want to warm a little bit the highlights and cold a little bit the landscape. So let's press in the blues, and I'm gonna add a little bit of blue like so on the dark areas, and remove a little bit of blue, so adding a little bit of yellow on the highlights. As you can see, it gives a little bit of a warm feeling on the sky. Let's press done. Maybe I will come back to the curves if I need. So let's jump to the color now. What I like to do in the color is ham the saturation all the way up to the top and see if the white balance is good. So the blues need to calm down a little bit, but I like the sky a little bit blue and the Milky Way still a little bit warm, so it's good enough. So let's take down a little bit the saturation and the vibrance. I like to add a little bit of vibrance. Now let's punch the Milky Way out of the sky. So let's go to effects. In effects texture, just your own taste, add a little bit. Clarity as well a little bit. And dehaze makes magic. So if I punch it, you can see that the Milky Way is starting to show up way better. Now the vignetting, I'm not moving because I don't see much vignetting. That's the advantage of a high quality lens, okay? But the contrast is way too much, especially on the landscape. So let's go back to light, curves, and just remove a little bit the contrast as so, but adding a little bit of contrast anyway, like so. We can see a little bit the landscape, nice, and the sky is bright and beautiful. Let's press done. Now, let's tackle the noise. Let's go to detail. Sharpening by default, it's good enough for my smartphone. To work with the noise, it's a bit complicated. So what I like to do is activate the noise all the way to 100% and then work the detail and contrast and reduce the noise. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. Of course, let's zoom in. As you can see, the image is poop. And let's push the detail until it shows the max of stars. Give it always a little bit of time to process the image. Now it's showing a little bit of artifacts, so I'm gonna reduce it a little bit. A little bit better. So it's showing a little bit of artifacts on the landscape on the sky, but when I reduce the noise reduction, will look better. So let's push up the contrast until it has an acceptable texture. If you don't want any textures, don't push this way too much. That's nice. Now let's reduce the noise reduction. That's acceptable noise, okay? I'm gonna leave it as so. There we go. Now, if you want also the color reduction, you can all the way to 0, the noise. So as you can see, if I really zoom in, you can check out that there is some reddish and greenish areas. So let's push a little bit and almost immediately everything disappeared. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it as so. That's good enough for me. Now that we have the image edit, let's press on the top there, menu, copy settings. Let's select everything just for safety. Approve this. So settings copied, and let's select all the image. Only 6, but it's okay. Press here and paste settings. Apply. Processing. Give it a little bit of time to process because there is a lot of things that he has to do. Nice! Let's select all the images again. Let's press share and save to device. 6 images will be exported. Now that the photos are exported, let's stitch them, okay? So press OK. Let's minimize this. I'm gonna use an app that was advised to me from a friend of mine that, because, okay, I use this app to make panoramas because OnePlus 60 is crap making panoramas. So I actually took the pictures and then used this app called BeMoStitch, I guess, to stitch the panoramas. I have no idea how this is gonna work with the Milky Way. So let's import the images, and it's showing a ad. Let's select from the system picker all of these. Okay, select, and it's doing its thing. Let's wait a little bit. Let's go. Let's go. Let's do. Maybe it needs gravity to help it. So let's do it like that. There we go. Nice. There is a nice panorama. It looks very nice. So let's push the 3D stuff. Not the best one, but how nice! This is so great. No, I have to check on the library so I can zoom easily. Is this one? So where is the image? Oh, I have to export it. Yes. So select this one, export. Just I'm gonna just add a little bit of editing here, just make it a little bit clearer and save it. So it will save on my gallery now. That works way better than I imagined. Now, if you guys are wondering how I do the panoramas on Instagram with sliding, it's pretty damn simple. I use the panorama crop. So this app is excellent to do this because it doesn't lose any quality. Because I see that the other panoramas, the image will get a little bit, how am I gonna call it, soft, because it doesn't crop as good as it should be. It did work! It did work! A panorama with a freaking smartphone. There you go. So, if you learned something, please drop a like. If you have any questions, leave it down below in the comments and subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this. I'm Miguel, the cameraman is Ward. See ya.